Welcome to Brain Junk. I'm Trace Kerr.
And I'm Amy Barton, and this is our 300th episode.
Yes, I will find an air horn.
Yeah. Not like the royal trumpet thing?
No. Oh, royal. Well, we'll see.
Ba, ba, ba.
Whatever winds up here, that's what I found on a free sound file.
Yeah.
Yes, as of January 27th, it's taken us 6 years to do 300 episodes. We're amazing. So
That's actually a 50 episode per year record is really good, I feel like.
yeah, it's dogged persistence and maybe a little delusion.
Yes, for sure. Delightful, just the right amount sprinkled in there.
Yeah, just a little.
Fun, but still functional.
Maybe a skosh of ADHD, slightly more on my side. I don't know.
Yes. But what it has produced is this delightful thing,
Yeah.
which we have so much fun doing. We hope you have fun too.
Well, and it all started, and if you've been here the whole time, thank you, we love you.
Yeah.
If you're new, we also love you. But it all started for me. I was working in the elementary school library. Amy was the secretary. She would do morning announcements.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd been there a while, you'd been there a while, but for some reason you had a wild hair and you're doing announcements, and then you were like, let me tell you about the mantis shrimp. And then you went off on this wild ride of mantis shrimp and what they can do, and then wound up the morning announcements. And what was funny is there were some other people in the library, and they were all looking up at the speaker.
Like, what has happened?
And I was like, who was that?
That clearly was the moment when I realized they've given me this responsibility. There are no things in place to stop me from doing what I feel like.
Mad with power.
Yes, precisely. I am going to participate in the educational process.
Also, it probably didn't hurt that I think the principal was late getting in.
Yes, that certainly could be. Out in the halls dealing with something or at an admin meeting somewhere. Yes.
And you just took the reins, and then it just kind of...
Yes, we recognized kindred spirits at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah. The mantis shrimp is still a really excellent topic, by the way. If you've never delved into that, please go watch a few videos after this episode, of course.
And I think we've talked about the mantis shrimp. I'll have to go through that Excel file that my sister-in-law Kathleen put together very gleefully.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Yeah, she likes data way more than I do. And she was like, here it is. And I thought, wow, for years I've just been complaining about it, and you just did it.
Awesome. That is amazing. I love having data. I just don't always want to create the file.
Same.
So I appreciate that very much.
I do too. And so we thought maybe, because we were like, 300, what do we do? And then we decided, kind of like spur of the moment, let's just talk about things that have 300 in them.
This is going to be a rambling, truly essence of Brain Junk episode, everyone.
Yes.
It's a little gift.
Yeah, because like the whole thing with Brain Junk being like the junk drawer, and the whole idea of, for me, when someone says, "Oh, what's your show about?" It's like, and I say,
shiny objects.
I know, right? Ooh, interesting. But I say, have you ever been at a party and you're like, I would like to have something more to say than the weather?
I also think that really can mark who you are as a person. Are you going to tell them about the ant study where they cut the legs off and added ant stilts? Or are you going to go with something sweet and lovely like the penguins at the zoo that are watching airplanes but really aren't? Or
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Which fact do you choose to trot out at a party? Definitely says a lot about you.
You're like, hey, Baker Miller Pink, your sweater reminds me of, like, do you feel calmer?
Yeah.
It works in prisons for like 15 minutes and then it causes rage. And then people step farther away from me.
Yeah. Yeah. So choose your party fact based on your audience. If it's your high school friends, go for it. Brain Junk After Dark, whatever you need to do.
Hey, do you know how many bones are in a baby's body at birth?
More than I have, but I can't remember.
Approximately 300.
What? Don't we have like 200?
Yeah. A grown adult, by the time you're 25, you've got about 206.
How do we lose 96? I know we have some fusing of the skull.
Yeah. And then
Where are the rest of them going?
It's a lot of bone fusing, and then there's a lot of cartilage and stuff that becomes bone. And so, honestly, I think babies are just giant bags of I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, squishy, bounceable things.
It's like a Ziploc bag. Yeah, full of cereal, and like there's some nubbly
Yeah.
things in there, but who knows? Yeah, so your skull fuses, and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so over time it just gets down to around 206. But what I really love is all of these things, all of the places that I was looking for info, everybody is about 300 bones at birth and around 206. So it's not exact.
So there's some room for there's some flexibility there, clearly.
Yeah, bonus finger, extra toe, extra rib, less a rib. Who knows? Who knows really?
I'll be darned.
Yeah. Yeah, and as a little bonus fact, your skeleton completely replaces itself around every 10 years or so through remodeling.
Mm-hmm.
So with your skin replacing itself and everything, I mean, you're not the same person you were.
No, but it's also that argument of none of those things generate at the same rate. Like my skin replaces itself more rapidly than my bones, and so there's always something, like if it was truly on a 7-year cycle, everything was synchronized, and so on December 31st you're one person and on January 1st you're another. I just listened to a Sawbones podcast and they answered that question. She's like, yes and no.
Yeah, if we were going to be then we'd have to be like caterpillars. We'd go into a sleeping bag.
Yes.
We'd become a puddle of goo and then reform into a completely new human being, which is creepy.
Still seems magical.
I know,
yeah, disgusting.
It does, doesn't it?
Like sort of Neil Gaiman magic.
Yeah.
His magic can be a little weird.
I don't want to do that. The PTSD you would have from being a puddle for a while, I don't think anybody needs to do that.
Yes, we've just been watching The Good Place, the episode where Janet reboots. Well, one of the episodes where Janet reboots. I'm like, that's what I want it to be like. You just have a few fuzzy days and then you're back at it, but better.
And then you're good to go. Yeah.
We've wandered down a road here.
This
is a very authentic brain junk. This is also how our conversations go when we're together in person. Once we've hashed through all the, like, how's your family? This is where it goes for us too.
I imagine that people trying to eavesdrop find us exhausting, and that's hilarious.
Yes, it's delightful.
So do you have a 300 thing?
Got a ton of them.
Okay.
So first of all, I always have to go to the Measure of Things website.
Of course.
Where you just put in a unit of measurement and it spits out. So 300 cubic inches is about as big as the blood in a human body.
God.
And I like the way they phrase it. It's about as big as the blood in your body.
300 cubic inches?
Yeah. 300 cubic inches. You could get a container and put you in there, all your blood.
Now the FBI is listening. Great.
Yes. There are definitely some vampire movies where they have probably conceptually shown this. So go do your research.
One bathtub, 300 cubic inches. Okay.
Yes. Let's go to a less visceral yucky. 300 feet is the Statue of Liberty or Big Ben, roughly. That's a little easier to look at. They did have how many bowling balls and things. And I go so far down that rabbit hole and I thought, we don't need to know all of those things. So how about we go with, do you have some too? Or should I tell you, should I just go for it on my list?
Measurements? No, I have.
No, just in general facts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah,
okay.
I definitely do.
You have things?
Yeah, I definitely
Okay.
do. Yeah.
What else have you got?
I've got 300 mile per hour winds.
Yes.
Okay, so what I did while I Googled, I did 300 and I wrote out like in letters 300. And then I also just did the number 300.
Idea.
And then I would do space and then Q and then space and then W, space E. And so I would just see what, would pop up.
That's a great idea.
And so when I got to 300W, it was like winds. And I thought, well, we don't have that on Earth. No, actually, we do.
Oh, that's a devastating winds, though. Because, it gets up to 50 or 60, and we're like, stay home so you don't get impaled.
Yeah, so on the enhanced Fujita scale, so an EF5 has been measured as high as 302 miles per hour.
Yikes, that is definitely picking up Aunt May's cow and house, right?
Oh, everything goes. So
okay.
Bridge Creek, Oklahoma, May 3rd, 1999, the Moore, Moore, the Moore tornado is between 301 and 320 miles per hour.
Oh my word, like there's nowhere safe.
No, and this tornado was crazy. 85 minutes.
Oh gosh, jeez.
38 miles. I mean, it just, right?
It slowly just Roomba'd its way across the county.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh. Like I'm envisioning the suction of that ripping up storm cellars too. That's nuts.
Yeah, it was completely nuts. And it was part of a swarm of 71 tornadoes, not that fast, but 71 on the same day.
So everybody, it's 7 degrees in Spokane, and that's kind of extreme for us.
Yeah.
But then I remember no tornadoes. Our bugs die or at least our bugs stay smaller in the winter. Did you call it a swarm? A tornado swarm?
A swarm.
That's bad.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
It's terrible. Yeah. And if you live anywhere besides the US and Canada, so North America, if you're not here, you're pretty safe because we're the only countries in the world to have verified reports of tornadoes with an EF5, those super big, super high tornadoes, because it's the size of our country. Once you get over the Rocky Mountains, it's a lot of mostly flat, and we've got cold stuff coming down from Canada, and we've got warm stuff coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, and when those bang together, it makes clouds angry.
Yeah, or super excited.
Well, okay, it could be a party for them.
Yeah. We've got some EMD playing.
Oh, yeah. But when it's doing $1 billion in damage and killing over 40 people, that's not cool. Not cool.
Wow. That is devastating. And I'd move. I don't think I could live with already I watch the weather and I'm like, well, that's dangerous. So that people are out there, they're like, snow is so beautiful. Again, it's probably trying to kill you. So knowing that, tornado season is coming, not sure I could live with that.
Yeah. So let's do some happy 300s.
Okay. Do any of you watch, like you're going to tell me, show of hands, who watches Forged in Fire and is a big fan of Damascus steel? I see those hands.
I've seen a few of them. That's when they're making the swords and knives, right?
Yeah, they're doing a very dangerous, labor-intensive process in, 6 hours or whatever it is. So 300 CE is when we, the origin of Wootz steel, WOOTZ, which is also known as Cyric steel.
Okay.
It's a crucible steel that's characterized by those bands. It looks a lot like just a smaller Damascus pattern. And for those of you who do not watch Forged in Fire, just do a quick Google and you'll see it's those beautiful knife patterns. And the bands are formed by, you're folding metal.
Got it.
My favorite thing about this is why would they call it Wootz steel? Because it seems to be capitalized everywhere. Like, what is this? And it's an erroneous transliteration of Utsa, UTSA, or fountain, which is a Sanskrit word. And in 1794, so somebody is like, I'm sorry, what did you say? Utsa. No, Woots. Yes, thank you.
I mean, they're banging on anvils all the time.
Yeah.
The hearing damage must be extensive, right?
Exactly. So for those of you who are curious, when did that, because this is the precursor of Damascus steel didn't come into being until about 750 to 945. So that's just a little geeking out because I'm like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. It looks like the Damascus steel. I was so pleased that I had identified it. And
you're like, I'm smarter than I thought. I also did some 300-year stuff. I was looking 300 years into the past to 1724.
Ooh, yes. What was happening then?
Yeah, it was a leap year.
Oh, just like this year.
And it began on a Saturday, which feels auspicious. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But on January 1st of 1724, glassblower Daniel Gabriel Fahrenheit, that name sounds familiar, yes, he single-handedly began the ruin of American record keeping by proposing his system for making thermometers with the Fahrenheit scale.
Yeah.
The Royal Society of London was like, okay, you can join. And I think they've probably regretted it ever since.
So really, it wasn't a joining so much as an infiltration.
Yeah, he was like, instead of saying 0, let's say 32. That seems like a good idea.
Chris and I have been watching a German content creator online, and she refers to everything in Celsius. And so we always have to look up how hot it really is. Like 32 doesn't sound that bad. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's bad.
Chaz will do the conversion in his head.
What?
You hear him like, whatever the fraction is, and then he's, yeah.
Oh, man.
I married a nerd, and that's probably for the best.
Yeah, very functional nerd. That's good.
He can also calculate the area of a carpet if you just throw numbers at him, and I'm like, that's actually
You
kind
walk
of
through the
hot.
hardware store and how much lumber do we need? It's like, just give me a moment. And you hear the
Yeah. Yep. And he goes, we're going to need 5
Ding.
sheets of 4x8. And I'm like, that's amazing. You know how long it would have taken you to figure that out?
Yeah, well, 10 minutes to find a guy who's not helping somebody else.
Oh, there
and
you go. Mhm. Calculator on my phone.
Yeah, after I've tried and failed.
What else you got?
I have some Guinness Book of World Records, just a random touchdown here and there.
Okay.
I like to bicycle, and I whip myself up into like a 15-mile-an-hour speed every now and then.
Ooh.
I know, just blowing like the wind. Well, I found one fastest 300 kilometers cycled on an outdoor track. Someone from Slovenia named Stanislav Verstovcek. I'm not quite sure what that accent does. There's an accent over the S. So on the 10th of June in 2022, he cycled on an outdoor track for 7 hours and 11 minutes and 34.37 seconds. And that he managed to go 41.71 kilometers per hour for that whole time to get to the 300. So that, for those of us can't convert that in our head, he rode an average of 25.9 miles per hour for 7 hours.
Because it's like 186 miles. I had to look that up. Chaz isn't here.
I'm just like, I'm missing a number to impress our American friends here.
25 miles per hour on a flat? God, he was humping it.
Yeah, that's just nutso to me. And just that duration for 7 hours, crazy. So that's one of those records I can appreciate because I'm clipping along sometimes at like 15, 16 if I'm really feeling my oats and I'm riding through that nice flat stretch at Mirabu.
Well, I have one about Julia Child's cookbook.
Ooh, okay. Hit me.
Yeah. I thought, what's on the 300th page?
I thought about that too. I'm like, what books would I care enough to share? And then I got sidetracked and went down a different road.
Well, this is fine. I took the brain cell, I ran with it, and in mastering the art of French cooking, the 300th page, care to make a guess?
Page 300, we have to be, how long is that book?
It's like 700 pages.
Well, we have to be into meats and main dishes by then, I would think.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say standing rib roast.
That would be fancy. No, it was ground beef hamburgers.
That's so American. It's perfect.
I know. I found it and I burst out laughing. And here's the funny thing. So it says ground beef hamburgers, and then underneath it says, shock is the reaction of some Americans we have encountered who learn that real French people living in France eat hamburgers.
But they've gone to the butcher and they've picked out 2 whole pieces of meat and lovingly ground them together. And
yes, and it does end, the paragraph ends with, and serves them with the same types of red wine and vegetables listed for steaks. So I went and I found the list, that list with the steaks and the red wines. They listed a bunch of like heavier red wines. But what I loved is the list of vegetables was 5 different ways you can prepare potatoes. And then they just went down to pretty much everything you've ever had. Like you can have Brussels sprouts with it.
Do they serve it on a bun?
You know what? There was no recipe for the burgers.
It's a process, not a recipe?
Yeah, this is the kind of meat you should use. It should be like an 80-20. And if you need to make up the fat, you can use bacon. But it wasn't, here's how to make a burger.
Well, my mom would just cook hamburger patties and then serve them with some kind of sauce and a vegetable. So she's not French, but that's more of the French style.
I think that's what was happening is it's just, here's how to make a really good ground beef burger patty to have with your pommes frites.
Oui.
Yeah, and maybe a nice glass of red wine. You're not having this with some Velveeta cheese and a Coke.
Yeah, no.
You're not going to do that. Mm-mm.
No, the American decision is, do you want pop or a Pilsner or a lager? Or maybe a lovely iced tea.
Does that have bubbles in it? It doesn't? Get out of here. We don't want that.
That's right. Well, my next Guinness record was not as highbrow as the French hamburger,
That's okay.
but is fun. So apparently there's a couple guys that have collectively achieved 300 Guinness World Records, and the 300th thing, well, they each have an assortment, but the thing that made the 300 is an attempt at 153 hugs in 1 minute. And I can't even imagine that. They talk about starting to get out of breath in this process. It's a whole thing. So David Rush and Josh Horton, they are both prolific record holders of random weird stuff. And so they decided, we're going to try this hug thing. Do you want to know who the previous record holders were? 2019, Anthony Anderson, the actor, and Darius Rucker, the musician, during the filming of a carpool karaoke section for that talk show. 138 hugs in 1 minute. So as David and Josh are practicing this, like, they were strategic. They're watching the video of the previous record, and they noticed the standard was that the arms have to go down each time. But the previously acknowledged record didn't necessarily show that they lowered their hands after each hug. So contrary to that specific requirement, they went spirit of the law in the model of the previous record and made it to 153. This was in fall of 2023 that they made this attempt. And so it was still under review. And I haven't seen anything. I poked around a little, and I don't think that they have confirmed or denied it yet. So we wait.
Can we talk about what an absurd job it must be to be someone who certifies this stuff? Because it's gone from like world's tallest man, person who can eat the most hot dogs, to these very odd, okay, I hugged 153 people in a minute, but it's not, but you have to wrap your arms around, and they're running at you, and it's just like, what is even happening? Having worked in an elementary school library, quite a few of them, the Guinness Book of World Records book is by far the most popular thing that's checked out.
For sure.
And the kids are constantly like, this guy wrapped a yo-yo string around his finger, and he did it every day for 40 years. And he's got a...
Yeah, it's very arbitrary. Longest fingernails.
Oh, God, I remember the longest fingernails.
Like, that one strikes me as something with privilege, because you cannot do everything that you need to with those nails. So someone in your life is serving you, for sure.
Oh, yeah, because you can't use your hands.
No.
Definitely got to tie into our obsession with freak shows and the weird tent at the circus and...
extreme things.
Yes, where, I can remember we went to a fair once and there was a tent and it was world's biggest horse.
But you have to go in. Yeah.
There's the shenanigans of like, is this person trying to pull the wool over my eyes? Is it really a mermaid monkey? All of those kind of things, along with the weird, he flipped a coin 1,000 times in 10 minutes. It's these odd things. So is the Guinness Book of World Records thing a way to sanitize the mystery? Is it a way, I don't know, is it a way to make the most of us who are very boring and normal, right, feel special?
Yes.
Okay,
Jonathan Simos, he was 35 in November, though. He is actually special. He is a chef and a trainer, and he's in Sarasota, Florida. So I'm going to say Florida man made an attempt. I always like to say Florida man. It adds some spice to anything. He hung from a bar for just over 1 minute with 300 pounds strapped to his waist. I do love the strongman competitions. Because partly I'm waiting for something to explode, like something to snap in them. And it did not for Jonathan. He made it. So he has achieved heaviest weight lifted while hanging suspended in the dead hang position for 1 minute. So to give you an idea, it's like he had a mostly grown panda or reindeer climb onto him. He's like, hang out, buddy. I'm just going to hang here for a minute. An entire almost grown panda is 330 pounds. A reindeer is 365, full grown. So you have a lady panda or a lady reindeer who's a little smaller.
Yeah, just hanging
Wild.
on. I love the fact that that you're at least admitting, like, I'm just waiting for his arm to rip off. That's all.
Yes.
That's all I
totally
want.
am. Yeah, there's a macabre aspect of any of those competitions for me. Partly I'm like, the human body is amazing. Look what you could do with time and patience and consistency, and something terrible could happen. Gather around, children.
Honestly, I don't think we need to do any more. That tops it all.
I know. That was the one where I'm like, and I am done with this rabbit hole. So I'm done with my Guinness records. That was enough 300 things.
Wow.
300. This is amazing.
It is amazing. Well, and for the people who always say, oh my gosh, how do you even come up with topics? Okay, clearly, I mean, this is 300 times we've done this. Actually, more than that, because there's some episodes that you'll never hear because we screwed them up, or I accidentally deleted them or forgot to hit record. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not talking about it. There's so much stuff out there. There's always going to be something more.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. You know what to do. You've been here before. We've done this 300 times.
We can entertain you.
Yes, we can. Amy and I will catch you next time, maybe at the 600th episode when we're old and I need my walker to get here, when we share more of everything you never knew you wanted to know, and I guarantee you will not be bored.